Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Game News Roundup. We are doing this one live tonight because I've been so busy at work, I've had no time to record this just for you guys on YouTube. So we're doing this live on Twitch, twitch.tv/TrunksWD. Today was day 3 of the Microsoft versus FTC hearing, trying to decide if Microsoft's Activision Blizzard deal should be approved or not approved. The judge is listening to all the arguments from both sides. And then at the end of this, they will decide should the deal be blocked or passed. We will find out how things go in the coming days. But today is day 3, and there'll at least be one more, I think at least one more day tomorrow. Probably 2 or even 3 more days at the rate this is going. Because we know we got several people still on the block it to talk. But today, the big one, PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan in a pre-recorded deposition video. So this was pre-recorded ahead of time. The FTC lawyers and the Microsoft lawyers did question him, and he did answer questions. But first things first, again, we've got 5 main articles we're going over. He mentioned a bunch of different things, but these are kind of the main topics, information that came out. He did admit, I mean, we kind of knew this already, but he did fully admit he wanted Microsoft's Activision deal blocked by regulators. Jim Ryan stated in his quote, "I told him, referring to Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, that I thought the transaction was anti-competitive," referring to obviously Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition. "I hope that the regulators would do their job and block it." So far, the deal has been blocked in the UK. Microsoft is appealing it, and the FTC is suing Microsoft to try to get the deal blocked. Otherwise, it has been approved pretty much everywhere else. Although I'm pretty sure we don't know Canada, Australia, or New Zealand ruling yet. But European Union has approved it. China has approved it. I think Brazil was the first one to approve it. God, it feels like for ages ago. It's like this deal was announced pretty much a year and a half ago at this point, and we're still waiting on the rulings. I know it's a huge acquisition, so it's taken a while, but my goodness. I feel like some of these rulings we should have known a long time ago, but hey, here we are. But so yeah, PlayStation CEO admitted he wants the deal blocked, or at least wanted it blocked. When he was talking to Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, he did add that Kotick apparently wanted to sign a deal with Sony to cover himself. So Ryan said what Bobby wanted to do was cover himself by extending the marketing collaboration between Sony and Activision in the event of the transaction not proceeding. So if the deal were to die, Bobby wanted to cover himself just in case, and not completely screw up Activision Blizzard, that they would sign an extended deal with Sony, which clearly has not happened. And I don't think we know the exact date of Sony's marketing rights that they have with Call of Duty is. I think reports have shown it's like either this year or next year will be the final deal of Sony's marketing rights for Call of Duty. So even if the deal is approved, Sony will keep marketing rights, and I'm sure that those marketing rights and everything includes maybe keeping Call of Duty off of Game Pass, but I don't know for sure. Obviously, if the deal is approved and all of a sudden immediately Call of Duty is on Game Pass, that's a different story. Probably see other Activision Blizzard games come to Game Pass if the deal is finally approved. Obviously, like recently, maybe we'll see Diablo 4 on Game Pass. I would say Overwatch, but that's free to play, isn't it, at this point? Maybe other older games. Other older games from Activision Blizzard potentially be seen coming to Game Pass. If the deal is approved. But we'll see how things go. Again, we got to see what the judge's ruling is on this, and obviously I'll get an article written on VGChartz pretty much as long as I'm not busy. As soon as that news breaks, if the judge approved the deal or the judge has blocked the deal or whatever the judge's ruling will end up being. PlayStation CEO, again, these are all Jim Ryan's quotes of what he was answering questions. He said that Microsoft releasing Starfield as an Xbox console exclusive was not anti-competitive, which, of course, mind you, of note, Sony did pay for 2 Bethesda's games, or ZeniMax games specifically, other developers, not Bethesda, Ghostwire Tokyo, and Deathloop to be PlayStation timed exclusives for a year, and then they came to Xbox a year later. So yeah, Ryan, referring to when asked about Starfield Xbox exclusivity, I don't like it. He doesn't like Starfield not being on PlayStation 5. But I fundamentally no quarrel with it, because PlayStation, Nintendo, you know, they all get exclusives. So, when he was asked how he felt about Starfield skipping the PS5, he stated, "I don't like it, but I don't view it as anti-competitive." So he doesn't view Starfield skipping PlayStation 5 as anti-competitive. And if you don't know, Starfield is coming out on the Xbox Series X and PC, as well as Xbox Game Pass on September 6th. So yeah, Jim Ryan, he's not a fan. Not a fan of Starfield skipping PlayStation, but he doesn't feel it as anti-competitive, again, because PlayStation has more, you say, money-hatted games. Xbox has money-hatted games over the years. Even Nintendo, less so, mind you. You mainly buy a Nintendo console for Nintendo games, less about third-party games. Or third-party exclusives, even, whether it's money-hatted or whatever. Again, whether it's, as I said, Deathloop or Ghostwire, or Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Remake from PlayStation, obviously, Microsoft went and ended up buying Bethesda, or Bethesda's parent company, ZeniMax. But we did find out last week, again, I'll quickly mention from Phil Spencer saying, you know, they mentioned, oh yeah, because PlayStation had money-hatted Ghostwire and Deathloop, and there were reports and rumors that they were looking to do the exact same thing with Starfield, and they didn't want to fall too far behind, so what Microsoft decided to do was just go in and acquire ZeniMax instead, which, again, includes Bethesda, developers of Starfield, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, id Software, developers of Doom, Machine Games, developers of Wolfenstein, also Quake, and obviously got Dishonored, the recently released Redfall, which has, I don't need to say how much of a bomb my game wasn't very good at launch, but Starfield, if it shapes up to be as good as it's looking, is probably going to be the biggest Xbox exclusive since the 360 days. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, yeah, Forza, I mean, if you look at the main non-Bethesda exclusives, I mean, Forza at this point is probably the biggest. Yes, bigger than Halo, and I would say Gears of War at this point in time, if you look at the player base. At least Forza Horizon. Forza Horizon 5, I'm pretty sure, has a bigger player base than Halo Infinite does. But anyways, more stuff from Jim Ryan, who's asked about Game Pass, and he says it is value destructive. So, Jim Ryan stated, "I talked to all publishers, and they unanimously do not like Game Pass because it's value destructive. This is a very commonly held view by publishers. He says publishers unanimously are saying Game Pass is value destructive. Mind you, I should point out, while not a lot of third-party publishers do release games on Game Pass, some have. He also, Jim Ryan did add that there was no reason to believe that Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick would put Call of Duty on Game Pass if Microsoft were not acquiring the company. Yeah, it sounds like, you know, Bobby Kotick, he would not be putting Call of Duty on Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. Or, and I know, like, Take-Two, CEO, has mentioned about like releasing any games. They won't be day and date on like Game Pass or any other subscription services. Maybe later on, as we have seen Grand Theft Auto 5, and I think Red Dead Redemption 2 at some point on Game Pass, at least for a little bit of time. I know, yes, say in the comments, I was reading somewhere. Yeah, not every, as one of the users on VGChartz has mentioned, not every single major third-party game has to be on Game Pass. But it does have its uses to publishers that may see fit. Capcom, yeah, they have put Monster Hunter Rise, Exoprimal, and are putting Kunitsu Gami Path of Goddess on Game Pass day one. Obviously, they haven't put Resident Evil on Game Pass day one anyway. I think some Resident Evil games might have come to Game Pass at some point or another. But obviously, some games, some third-party publishers see value of putting games on Game Pass to help grow a player base, especially if it's more of a multiplayer-focused game. But I don't know. How do you guys feel about Game Pass? I mean, yeah, being value destructive, yeah, in some ways, sure, I get it, because you get access to so many games versus if you actually bought all the games you play on Game Pass, you would spend a lot more money. But also, you play a lot of games on Game Pass, doesn't mean you would have bought all the games you play. Some, yes, some probably not. Or some games you might not have even heard of otherwise. Let's see. And Jim Ryan also was asked about his prediction on cloud gaming. He doesn't see cloud gaming becoming meaningful or a significant part of the gaming market until between 2025 and 2035. Yeah, that's a big window. And I'm going to say one thing. Considering how small cloud gaming is right now, I think there's like 25 million people use GeForce Now or so. And Microsoft has admitted, Xbox cloud gaming, most people who use it are on console. And they use it to trial games. Or to play games while the game is downloading. Versus specifically using it, say, on cloud gaming on your phone or on your PC, if your PC's not, say, powerful enough to play games. And obviously, I do know if you want to play Series X and S games, if you have an Xbox One, if you have good enough internet, you can use cloud gaming to play the Series X and S version of games. So yeah, Jim Ryan's direct quote about cloud gaming. Cloud technology will become a meaningful component of how gamers access games between 2025 and 2035. But considering where things are now, I think it's going to be next decade is when cloud gaming will have a chance to start taking off. People need fast enough internet. But yeah, we're making significant investments in cloud in anticipation of it becoming a very meaningful way of how gamers access games. So yeah, Sony is investing in cloud, but they don't see it taking off for a while. He also did reveal PlayStation Now had reached a peak of 3 million subscribers. But this was before Sony combined PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now into a single service. As you know, PlayStation Plus was kind of rebranded last year with 3 separate tiers. And you get the more expensive tiers in order to get access to what is the equivalent to PlayStation Now with cloud gaming. This one thing's not a surprise, as we've also mentioned about how, why is there no PS5 version of Minecraft, right? We talked about that the other day. And Microsoft saying, well, Sony didn't give them PS5 development kit so they can get a PS5 version of Minecraft out. Mind you, there's still no PS5 version of Minecraft, and also, there's no Xbox Series X and S specific optimized version of Minecraft at all. So it's not like the game's been optimized for the next-gen console, the current-gen consoles at this point. As you say, PS4 and Xbox One are last generation, considering it's been over 2.5 years, since the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S did launch. So yeah, Ryan, we simply do not run the risk of a company that owned by a direct competitor having access to that information, referring to specific information on PS6 as well as development kits. Yeah, he doesn't want to share information on the PS6. I mean, it's still 5.5, 6.5, 7 years away at this point, but, you know, as the next gen is likely not starting, PS6 and Xbox, who knows, whatever it'll be called at this point, probably won't be coming out until 2028. So yeah, the development kits allow developers to have visibility and to work on the feature set that our new console will deploy. Said Ryan. It would, a developer may bring its content to the new platform later than would otherwise be the case. The commercial risk associated with the knowledge of these feature sets leaking to our principal competitor is not something we'd rely on contract to enforce. It's not, yeah. So they're worried basically that they would give away secrets to the PS6 if they were to give, say, Mojang PS6 development kits to work on a PS6 version of Minecraft, or say Activision Blizzard, if Activision Blizzard becomes part of Xbox, and they gotta give PS6 dev kits to Microsoft or to Activision developers so they can get Call of Duty to run well on the PS6 when the PS6 does launch for the next gen versions of Call of Duty in how many years' time at this point. But yeah, that is the main stuff. There's a few other things. So let me just actually quickly go over, because I know on The Verge they have a bit of a roundup. Sony is wary of sharing PS6 info with Microsoft. We went over stuff we already knew. Sony thing about Starfield exclusivity. We went over that. He wanted the deal blocked. Email stuff which we already knew about. Sony hedging against that Game Pass. Publishers don't like Game Pass. And, oh yeah, here we go. One other thing. Xbox beat PS5 sales for 3 months in 2021. During the PS5's biggest issues with supply constraints, as well as, it was, I believe, the end of 2021, the Series X and S actually outsold the PS5. And that's the only time the Series X and S has sold better than the PS5. So yeah, for around 3 months at the end of 2021, you had Halo Infinite launching, you had Forza Horizon 5 launching. and PS5 severely supply constrained. And I believe at that point there was no...
Hello, motherfucker.
Oh, hey Goose, how are you doing? We're just wrapping this quick thing up I'm recording for YouTube. Yes, that did say, if you're watching this on YouTube, what the heck. I have sound alerts on Twitch, okay? We have sound alerts going. Hope you're doing well, Goose. So yeah, the Xbox Series X and S for 3 months, also the PS5. Otherwise, the PS5 has been outselling the Series X and S, which, if you look at... actually, there we go. I was waiting for this to vote. Right now, we've got 38.45 million PS5s estimated sell-through as of May, compared to 22 million Series X and S's sold, which is not a big surprise. If you look at, say, the 8th generation, we had 117 million PS4s compared to 51 million Xbox Ones sold, so a big gap there of over 2 to 1. And then the closest race, you would say, is the generation before, where the PS3 barely finished ahead of the 360, 87.4 million versus our estimated 85.7 million. So, almost the same, just a couple, less than 2 million separating the two based on the data we have available. And this generation, I mean, going to this generation, looking how things are, I'm expecting a slightly closer gap than last generation, but not like the PS3 and 360 practically ending tied. So, and this could be the first generation we've seen in a while where the combined sales of PlayStation and Xbox are actually going to beat the previous generation sales. Because, generally speaking, the PlayStation plus Xbox sales combined have been fairly stagnant since the PS2 and original Xbox. Yeah, they've been, you know, slight variations, but they've been within like 10 to 20 million units of each other from every generation. I expect this generation might actually be better, just for the fact that you got PlayStation's really strong lineup, and obviously Xbox having its strongest lineup in a long time. So more people will probably, than say last generation, will have a PS5 and a Series X and S versus last generation where there'd be less people who had both consoles. And obviously Nintendo is selling absolutely crazy with the Switch, which could be becoming the best-selling video game platform of all time. We'll see. It's got to pass the DS and the PS2, which are over 150 million units each. But the Switch had a fantastic May. Insanely good May, obviously, with Tears of the Kingdom launching and the Switch Tears of the Kingdom OLED model that came out. But yeah, predictions for this generation, I'm thinking PS5 will finish around with the PS4, or just a hair under the PS4. So like that 110 to 120 million figure estimated prediction, you could say, for the PS5 versus 60 to 70 million for the Series X and S. So PS5 where the PS4 is a hair below, and Series X and S finishing like 10 to 20 million above where the Xbox One was. But that's just my little prediction. So anyways, yeah, this is mainly going over PlayStation CEO's Jim Ryan's pre-recorded deposition video. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time for some more gaming news, gaming sales, and the other gaming industry information that becomes available.